Hi, welcome to Women in Midlife. I'm Karen. Thank you for coming to my channel where we are going to talk about anything and everything that pertains to women over 50s. So stick around and we'll be back. Hello, hello, Mei Ching. Welcome
Hello,
everybody
hello.
to
Nice
Women
to see
in
you again.
Midlife. Oh gosh, it's been seems like ages ago. But we want to listen from you because you are a certified company secretary and you have your own
Yes.
company. And I want to get advice for a lot of women who may consider starting up their own business because they either have lost their job or been asked to retrench and they are too old to be in the job market right now. So please introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, my name is Mei Ching. I'm a company secretary by profession. I have my own small practice in Glugor. It's called TJH Consulting Services. Uh, I basically provide company secretarial services for Syndrome Berhad's companies, payroll services, and bookkeeping accounting services as well. So basically, if you are a Syndrome Berhad, I provide everything together with my tax partner, Kelly. We provide everything under one roof to cater to your needs. Okay.
When
So if you
maybe
want to
elaborate
start up a business,
what is everything? Can you describe that?
everything that means from starting up of your company to is yearly compliance to you want to close your company, also we can do all the compliance for accounting, payroll, and tax. We have all the technical expertise on hand to help.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And what would you advise for someone who may be thinking of doing a business but is small scale? Should that person be thinking of it as a sole proprietorship or partnership or a syndrome Berhad? Maybe you can explain to the audience what it really is.
Okay. Okay. If you're a person who wants to start up a business right now, okay, it depends on what type of business you want to start up. If you're talking about starting up a small business like a cafe or maybe a bookshop or maybe like a little patchwork handicraft shop, uh, that's something and you don't intend to go big, and there's not much liability involved. In the sense that if you do a cafe, people come and eat, and then probably go back stomach ache. Health department comes, they probably summon you a few $100 and they close. So these are not big liabilities, okay? But if you're talking about you want to like do import export business, if you want to do a shipping business, whereby one container boat goes out costs you a few $100,000 or probably $500,000,
Right.
where your liability is very big. Whereby if the boat goes in the middle of the sea and suddenly sinks, who's going to pay for all this cargo, right? So these are considered big business, big liability at hand.
Right.
Then you might want to consider doing it as Syndrome Berhad, a full-fledged company with all this compliance. If not, like what I mentioned, if it's cafes, handiwork crafts, and all that, the cost of compliance for a company is actually very high, and it doesn't make sense to set up a Syndrome Berhad. You will do off better as either a sole proprietor
Okay.
or a partnership business if you have a. That means you're registering under ROB, Registrar of Business.
Okay.
And the compliance cost is actually very cheap yearly.
Okay.
Because if you're selling cafe coffee, how many cups of coffee, or you're selling all these yogurt ice creams, how many ice cream cones are you going to sell?
Right.
Just to pay for secretarial fees,
Right.
audit and tax fees, because the yearly compliance is actually very high. So for my clients, I would want to understand what type of business that they want to do before I actually advise them to go towards which path. If not necessary, don't start up a syndrome bar, because to start up is one cost, to close it is also another cost.
Right. Understand. But you said that let's say cafe, for instance. My point of view is, if my client has food poisoning, touch wood, um, and we get sued, isn't that couldn't that be quite a substantial amount?
How are they going to sue you? Actually, it's very. You might want to seek a legal opinion on this, but as I know, if you want to sue, they must determine that the food that they consume is directly from your cafe. I mean, you have to prove so many things that from that day you actually did not eat anything for the last probably 48 hours or something
Right.
for them to come. So probably the Ministry of Health will come and check your outlets. If your outlets is really dirty with rats running around, and then
Mhm.
then they'll probably summon you and close you.
Right.
But if they want to sue you, and they do win, they cannot put you into bankruptcy. They probably sue you for a few $1,000s medical fees or something like that.
Right. Oh, okay.
So the cost, the liability cost is not that high as compared to like a big trailer, on the road, or on the a bigger type of a manufacturing plant. You're going to start out a factory, a manufacturing plant, yes. But if you're thinking of doing it big, if you set up a cafe and you're thinking of doing it into a franchise business,
Right.
and you want to go big, then you should set up a syndrome Berhad. It makes sense to do that.
Okay, maybe also explain what is the benefit of a syndrome Berhad, and why you say that it's for big business that you want to consider a syndrome Berhad.
Okay, because for syndrome Berhad, the benefit is that it's limited liability, in the sense that in case the company gets into trouble, or people get sued or anything, as a shareholder of the company, you only lose to the extent of the investments you put in the company. Let's say your paid-up capital is $2, and your company has some assets. They come and sue you. They sue the company for liability, and the most they do is they put the company into bankruptcy. They just take whatever is in the company. They cannot touch your personal assets.
Right.
Because companies have separate legal entity between the shareholders and the company. Whereas for sole proprietor or enterprise business, the downside of it is that it is unlimited liability.
Right.
Meaning to say that if you get sued, they can, for like maybe 2 million, they have the right to go after you until your personal assets to cover their debts. But let's say if you're doing a cafe business, or a handicraft work, even if you buy goods and supplies for your cafe, I doubt it will go up to like 500,000 unless you're really buying some very high-end stuff, So if you're really going for like those premier high-end stuff,
Right.
Cafes or food, then maybe, doing a syndrome Berhad will be more beneficial.
Okay. So given the current climate, I think you and I also know of many working women who were asked to take early retirement or made redundant. What would you advise them to do in terms of, you know, in their first chain of thought when they think about what business they want to do? What are the first things that they should question themselves before considering a business?
I think basically you have to see whether that the business that you want to do, is there a demand for your product? Basically a demand for a product. If there's demand, then probably there's sustainability. If the product is not something in demand, and that means you're only doing for niche market, then probably you have to consider your marketing strategies on how you want to promote those niche market products.
Okay.
Because the most, for a person who does business, the everybody inside their mind at the end of the day is they don't want to get entangled with tax authorities. Right. So all this income that you make, you have to find a way to report it as your income. But if you do it small scale, on like part-time basis and all that. If it's really non-substantial amount, not taxable amount, then there's not much issues. You can actually do it in your personal name and then just report the taxes. Or you can just set up a sole proprietor business with ROB. I think the registration is only 30 ringgit.
Okay.
And then it's like you'll be ready within an hour.
Oh, okay.
And then you just do your income reporting accordingly.
And what is constitute as a small amount? What is there an annual amount that can 5,000 a year?
Okay, let's say if you're doing a sole proprietor enterprise business, your income tax reporting will be based on your own personal tax. So, okay, let's say for a person who does employment income, he works anything 2K plus a month, you're actually not taxable.
Okay.
Now, because of your personal relief and all these incentives that government give, by the time you deduct 2 plus to 3, you're actually in about 3 is about borderline case, depending on how much personal reliefs you have. So you might not be taxable.
Okay.
So if you're doing a business income, like on this one for like maybe Chin or Chin call a month, and that's about it. If you might not be taxable, so you might not be under the IRB radar.
Right.
But irrespective of it, even if you're doing employment income, you should still report your income.
Right.
Even if you're doing part-time work or enterprise or sole proprietor business, you should do your tax reporting. You should report your income tax so that they don't come after you.
Correct. So maybe you can advise there are people who have their regular 9 to 5 jobs, and then they're looking at supplementing their income with a side hustle. So, but the side hustle is assuming maybe 1 to 2,000. It varies a month. How would they declare that? Would that be part of their final BE form that they submit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Under your BE form, you have to report your employment income. There's also another category in the same form, pendapatan line or other income.
Okay.
You should report it there.
Right. Regardless of the amount, isn't it? You just put it
regardless
down.
By rule of thumb, the law says that you have to report all your income, even though it's rental income, whatever income, you're supposed to report everything.
Okay. Now, so then there's another thing I'd like to ask is for the digital marketing era. Okay, many people have pivoted or transitioned to selling things on Facebook Marketplace and things like that. And most, I think, at least the ones that I'm seeing here, they're not, I don't think they are registered in any form or at all, meaning it could be Mrs. A selling cakes at $10 or 20 ringgit for a cake and things like that. What would you advise them so that they don't get caught in that, if the income tax really starts coming and questioning that person? And how can income tax trace, because this is again in the digital era?
I think now income tax is coming after those online sellers.
Yes.
You have to report your design. Even now, Shopee, I understand, I'm not 100% sure. I understand from my friend who sells on Shopee is that they also want you to set up an entity either as a sole proprietor or as a partnership business before you can actually sell online right now.
Okay.
And then now if you buy things, I think in 2 months' time, there's a new law that says that
I think it starts in
if you
April.
buy online for purchases less than 500 ringgit, you're subjected to tax already.
Correct.
So if you want to play conservative, register a sole proprietor business and then report all your findings. If you're the hero type, just take your risk, just like the law says that you're not supposed to go when it's red light. You're supposed to stop. You're not supposed to go, but there are people who goes, but they still don't get caught. So they are lucky, but those are risk takers.
Right.
So are you those? Do you have that type of risk appetite?
No,
to take the risk to say that I don't want to do this.
Right.
But if you, I think IRB is not that unreasonable in that sense. But because let's say for a person who does all this online business and they're making huge money out of it, and you don't pay taxes at all, you don't report any of your income,
That's not
and
right.
then you start buying BMW, then you start buying Mercedes, right? And then then you start buying bungalow houses. I think you're actually looking for trouble. Right.
Exactly.
And then if you don't have like a tax statement or something, report your income, you can't get a loan from the bank. So obviously you got to buy cash. So when you start buying cash, you're actually looking for trouble.
Exactly. Yeah, that will be like a red light alert. Get me, get me.
Definitely. So I've seen small traders, petty traders, small traders. I think they make very good money, selling like hawker food and all that.
Right.
And they don't report their taxes, and then they come and tell me, "Ayo, the tax department come after me. I'm only such a small time business. They come after me." I said, "Do you report your taxes?" You go, "No, why would I report?" I said, "But there must be something you did." "Oh yeah, I recently bought a double-story bungalow."
Beep,
So
beep, beep.
yeah. I mean, you're looking for trouble, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where it's either if they come after you for tax evasion, you're actually very lucky. Because if not, they will come after you for money laundering. You never report the tax, but you've got enough money to buy a bungalow
Right.
or semi-detached. Landed in Penang is so expensive.
Correct.
And you can buy a landed property.
Yeah.
That's the source of funds.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
I think it's also to tell the audience that the difference between the money laundering act, how it doesn't just affect you, but it affects everyone who may have received money from you. Am I right to say that?
in a way, yes. If the money is not declared money and comes in from it falls under the ambit of the AMLA, anti-money laundering.
Yeah.
And the people who receive it knows about it. People who receive it are also violating the law,
right,
in that sense.
And all can be just frozen, and it can be years and years before they unfreeze it. Am I right?
I think if you're not directly connected, the impact is not that big. Like if you're directly connected, then the impact will be created.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're not encouraging our audience to do such thing.
No.
Please, it's just to actually we want to scare you enough that this is not worth the risk to do any of this, because it is our absolute duty to pay our due taxes, so that the country can have enough funds to have good hospitals and infrastructure for everybody.
It doesn't go into the wrong pocket.
Exactly, and not the wrong pockets.
Yeah.
But
actually, I would like to extend an offer to all your subscribers.
Yep.
People who subscribe to your channel. If you're facing any issues about setting up your company or your businesses, or if you already have a company right now and you're having some issues with it which you don't understand or you cannot resolve, you can drop me a line. If you can tell me you're Karen's friend, I will gladly advise and help if I can, at no fee, at no charge.
Wow. Did you guys hear that, subscribers? This is absolutely great news. Call Mei Ching from TJH Consulting will be giving you free advice. I suggest you leave some comments down below, and I will forward them to Mei Ching, because she is a very busy woman. So I will leave that, and then we will then pass on the communication to her when we see it's valid questions as well. So thank you so much for that offer, Mei Ching. That actually
You're welcome.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
there are many especially budding business people or looking at ways to get side hustle because of the high inflation and the difficulties in getting jobs and things like that. So I wanted this session so that they are not fearful, because to me, having a business can be very daunting if you have always worked a 9-to-5 job and not knowing how to juggle. Yeah.
I can understand that some people when they face all these professionals, they don't talk the same lingo and they actually lost.
Yeah.
So I try to talk on the layman lingo with my clients and people around me and my friends so that they can understand the situation. Sometimes it's not as bad as they think.
Exactly.
It's just resolving the issues.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to share a story with one of my friends recently. Actually lost contact with him for quite a while, and then suddenly another friend asked him to call me because he had a company and he was trying to close the company for 2 years. His service provider was, for whatever their reasons, did not close it for him, and he said that he has paid off everything. So I don't understand unless I see the documents. So he started forwarding me all these documents on that. Then I asked him, why aren't the documents are all in place? Why is it not lodged? He says he doesn't know. He said these people tell him some technical jargon, don't know whatever. That's okay, never mind. Take over. I'll take over the file. So I took over the file from the service provider, and then immediately with the documents in hand, we just lodged it immediately. And the company has been closed by SSM since then. So sometimes then he says he's talking to the service provider for 2 years. Ding ding dong dong, ding ding dong dong. I also don't know what they're talking about. He keeps telling me, cannot close. I don't know why.
Okay.
So sometimes you just need to understand
the communication, isn't it?
Yeah. What is the underlying issues?
Correct. Yeah.
So he was just missing one letter. Actually, it was just one letter that he needs to sign, and I don't know. Somehow the miscommunication was there.
Luckily, he was not fined or anything of that sort. Otherwise, it would have been.
God, he was fine. That's why he paid for it, and then he jumped sky high.
Oh boy.
He was fine. He was fine for it. He was fine for non-compliance.
Okay, but I guess and it's so important, like for anyone out there who's listening to this and looking for a direction. Don't be afraid to ask. It's when you ask the right questions that was when you learn something, isn't it? And and I hope that you all will take advantage of this kind offer by Mei Ching here to advise you on what is the best thing to do if you wish to set up a company. So I thank you for your time as usual. You're always great. And we'll catch up again with another conversation soon. Thanks.
Sure. See you soon. Bye.